I realize when you're building something, it's not always about working. Sometimes it's just about living. Welcome everybody to the Rally Cry podcast. I am your host, Angel Rios, and I am so grateful that you're here. If you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're driving, or even if you just want to tune in, and you're here because you understand that it's all about learning something from the podcast. And if that's perspective, if that's a tip, that's a trick. But today, I'm going to tell you, just scratch all that. And, I'm getting right into it of mentioning that so many of us is trying to find out that tip, that trick, that one thing that someone else does and how successful they got because they done it. And it's not a one shoe fits all. And sometimes every so often you got to take that shoe off and just go barefoot, right? And that's just a metaphor, right? But the point is that life is really about just living, right? It's not about always working, right? Because when we get these tips and tricks, we're always trying to apply them to our lives. And, there's nothing wrong with applying something to our lifestyle so that it's a little bit easier. But when you tend to do that, there's always going to be that other thing that makes it hard. There's always going to be the other thing that you're going to be so frustrated about. It could be your family member. It could be because what's going on at work. It could be because whatsoever going on with your significant other and whatever is going on in that relationship. But you always find that whatever it is that you apply to your lifestyle, there's always something else you got to apply. There's so much more going on that may be becoming stressful, right? And I remember having a conversation with my uncle, and we were talking about intention, and I was telling him how, as much that I put in or as much as I put out, I feel like it's not working as much as I think it would, or maybe not as fast. And within the word itself, intention is also the same pronunciation of two words, intention, right? The compression of something being tense, right? And intention is always good, right? But with everything, right, there's always a fine line between of how much you're putting into it. And when you realize when something that you're doing is almost becoming a force, as if like you're forcing it, maybe it's not the time. Maybe it's not the place. Maybe the energy is trying to guide you somewhere, and that energy is trying to say that your purpose is bigger right here at this moment. And, that's something that I have to realize for myself. And you also have to see that sometimes things are in its own process, not in the way that you're processing it. And you have to sometimes take a step back from all the work that you have been putting, right? It's just like an art piece. When you're putting your eyes on one part of the paper and your pen is on that paper, that marker is on the paper, and you're drawing or you're writing, you have to take a step back to see how much you've done. And with the year coming to a close, right? I mean, it's only going to be September next month, but I really feel like once it hits September, at least for me, it starts going so quick. My birthday's right around the corner. It's on the 18th of September. I'm also going to start my master's program. And, there's a lot of great things that's happened for the year. And you start thinking about all these things, right? Am I doing enough and all these other stuff? And, when I do one thing, there's always another thing coming on. And you might be someone that's listening right now that feels that when they do something, there's always something else coming in. It almost makes you feel that something's in your way. But it's not because something's in your way. It's because you reached a new part in your life that now you need to overcome. There's always going to be obstacles. It's like doing hurdles, right? You're going at a certain speed, you hit a hurdle that you might not be able to go over just as fast as compared to the others. But that you are progressing, that you have shown yourself that there was an other obstacle in the past and you overcame that. And now you're at a new obstacle, that this is different this time. That is not always the same thing all the time, but it's something different. It's something bigger. And I really appreciate you guys for listening, supporting, coming to these events. This week, Games and Poetry is coming to White Lion, downtown Springfield, on the 28th, on Thursday. From 5:30 to 8:30, there'll be some games. Enough Said will be there. Jenga, Uno, a whole bunch of other games that you may be familiar with family, or even if you did it with your friends. And, we're going to end the night off with also poetry. Really excited for, everybody to come on Make sure you get your tickets. I'll make sure I put the link down below. And make sure that you follow for more episodes, right? If it's on your favorite podcast platform, if it's on YouTube, and even if you follow us on Instagram, where we put a little bit of highlights of each episode. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I see you next time. Peace.